Forever War, and essentially our idea with it was to simulate the complex interactions in modern warfare between large-scale combat operations, small-scale combat operations, counterinsurgency warfare, and even a little bit of economics and government politics. So it's kind of a little bit of a role-playing game. So there will be 3 players on each side, which are representing 2 nations that could really be anybody, but they're represented by deer and coyotes, just to make them really look different from each other. There will be a civilian player on each team, a government player on each team, and a military player on each team. They all have their own objectives, they all have their own wants, they all have their own abilities. Government player, they're the one issuing orders, they're kind of playing a grand strategy game. Civilian players are trying to stay out of the line of fire, mostly, until they're not. They can decide to shoot back eventually. The military players are just trying to win engagements. The ultimate goal of the game is to get a peace treaty signed between 2 countries, or whatever happens, because different players can ally with each other. You can have a peace treaty that says basically anything. But the ultimate goal is to get a treaty in order to end the conflict, which that treaty will then set the stage for the next conflict. So the war isn't actually over when the game is over. It keeps going after that. It's just a ceasefire, but you put yourself in a more positive situation by having a treaty that benefits your faction. I have to finish setting up all these little sectors. So to explain what I'm doing here, we have all these little areas of combat, which are just called sectors. They're basically a county-sized area. The terrain is kind of inspired by upstate New York. We have 18 of them, and there's a variety of environments. We have forest, field, hills, and 2 urban environments. Each of them are relevant in different ways to gameplay. Fields are probably the most valuable because they are what you need to make money, which you can use to buy things like weapons, armor. When I say armor, I mean like tanks, not body armor, but
so in order to actually conduct battle, there are a bunch of different unit types. You have just your standard infantry. They're not really, they don't have a lot of special abilities. They're just sort of standard. But you have the most of them, and they're the cheapest to sort of purchase, or otherwise, that which simulates their training. You have snipers, squad machine gunners. Those are sort of the basic sort of troop level units. There are also tanks and armored personnel carriers that are a lot tougher to take out. And then there are also artillery pieces, which is why we have the different sectors, because to use an artillery piece, you can't actually fire within your sector. You have to fire into an adjacent sector. But a hit by an artillery piece does massive damage to any type of unit, but you also have a higher probability of missing. If you remember from when we presented earlier, we had an idea to maybe include a lot of helicopters or planes and anti-air. Unfortunately, we found that was a little bit too complicated, so we removed that from our final prototype. So now we have the board set up. So now we can probably get out all of the pieces to set up. Since this is the sort of iteration 1, if you will, we're not picking up from a previous peace treaty. It has slightly different rules. If we were continuing from a previous iteration, we would just pick up where we left off essentially, with all of the units and territory being stipulated by that previous treaty. But since this is the first one, it has a couple of different rules. So essentially what happens is the designated government player has 150 coin money essentially to spend on whatever sort of troops it wants, and it can designate where 5 of those units go, and then the military gets to place the rest of them, and then the civilian has a preset number of civilians it has, and it can place the sort of farming equipment, which is what's used to produce corn, which then gets transported for money, and the transport trucks, which are utilized to get the corn from the field to the capital. We decided to include this because we wanted to give opponent military players the ability to take out civilian infrastructure as well as military infrastructure, to give a different level or a higher level of strategy to the game.
Okay, so who wants to be on the Deer team? Who wants to be on the Coyote team? And what positions do you guys want? The options are civilian, military, and government. Government is actually probably going to be the easiest position to play. You're going to be issuing orders to people on your team, and you don't have to worry about a lot other than that. You don't really have to worry about the nitty-gritties. So if this seems really complicated for you, you just say, or you like grand strategy more than skirmish tactics, then I would recommend government.
The two you want to be doing, since we're all cornering.
Yeah,
Sure, we can.
I'll take civilian then.
Okay.
All right, so I guess, are we on the same team then?
I guess we are on
We
the
can
same
plan on that, if that's all right.
I'm here too.
You're here too. What position do you want?
I
You tell me
guess
the
I'll
coin.
be military.
Okay,
You
you can be military.
No, I've
I
got
don't
corner.
care between the two of us.
All right,
So-
all right.
I'll be civilians.
I'm government.
Okay, I'll
you're
be
government.
government.
Make good
You're good.
decisions.
I'm the
Big,
military.
big decisions. Yeah,
So
Big
we've got a
military
lot
guy
of
over here.
we got a lot of pieces.
we got the little fellas here.
Yeah.
They're all
They're all
tiny cardboard cutouts of, or not cardboard, paper. We wanted cardboard, but we didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah, I can show.
So military, here are some of your guys. Those are going to be your
Just one
squad
of the
machine
pieces.
gunners. You can see that there's a little M249 that he's holding. Oh shoot,
There's our artillery pieces.
I got cut off. But that's
Okay.
some of them are a little bit hard to see what's going on.
Okay.
It's your sniper.
Oh,
Got quite a few of those.
These are the civilian.
I
Yeah, the
want to see
civilian
tank
players
dudes.
sort of look like farmers. They don't have any weapons on them.
There's also hunters and militia though, which militia, they have assault rifles and hunters have hunting rifles, but they are also controlled by the civilian player.
So basically, about, yeah, I think we said 3 times a turn, you can turn a civilian into a militia or a hunter, and this basically allows the civilian player to be able to defend itself to a limited capacity from incoming enemy military assault, or if the government or your friendly military is not cooperating, it allows you to be able to sort of strike back. It gives the civilian player a little bit of agency instead of just having them get steamrolled, which doesn't seem fair, nor does it seem realistic.
Also, something we kind of forgot to mention for the deer player over there, the government player is going to be in control of the deer infantry that have the skull bandanas on. Those are special forces. So you guys get to be in charge of them.
Wicked.
So basically, if the military doesn't do what you want, you can use those guys to go kill them. It's all about balance of power. That's your Iranian Revolutionary Guard, or KGB, whatever you want to think of it as. Those are your enforcers, or you can use them on your civilian populace. You can use them on my civilian populace. You can, like, all the war crimes. You can, absolutely. If they're not
Let's
doing
go.
what if they're not doing what you want them to do, you are encouraged to.
I love committing war crimes. In game, of course.
In games, of course.
And just to give you a little bit of an idea of what the unit costs are, we have a table of all of the unit costs and the movement. So for the government player, this is going to be particularly important.
I'll just take a picture of that if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's just so
So,
many
yeah.
guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the pieces took a considerable amount of time to create.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just hold this up. This is, so we have our unit, we have our cost, and we have the maximum amount of movement you can take on a single turn. So you don't have to take all of your movement, but if you're going to take all your movement, that's the maximum amount of spaces, squares here that you can take based on the different unit types. The infantry tends to move fairly quickly, and then the tanks, to balance them, they move very, very slow.
They also, tanks and armored personnel carriers also cannot move through forested environments because the tree cover's too dense. You'll notice that forested environments are the dark green, non-tilled fields are the light green, and tilled fields are going to be the brown with the hash marks in them. Those are the ones that you're harvesting if you're the civilian player. So part of this is kind of just a farming simulator, but it's a farming simulator until you get attacked and you have to do guerrilla warfare before, you know, the enemy military starts committing war crimes, which, you know, they might do. You also have the option to not fight. Nobody's saying that anybody has to fight, but it's in your interest to.
Yeah, because, I mean, especially the military player gets a lot of points in the treaty system if they win engagements. That's sort of how we distinguish each player, so we don't have just like one team winning. We have side objectives of capturing land and gaining money for like reparations, but we also have individual player sort of requirements in the treaty. So the government gets, I think, points for how much money they've made. The civilian player gets points for how many civilians they have still standing. And then the military player gets a lot of points based on winning engagements. So it really is in your best interest to be fighting. Yeah, in a future iteration of this game, we would definitely like to have the pieces
Pre-separated.
Yeah, A pre-separated, and B probably cardboard so that they're a little bit easier to handle. And then, you know, having player aids would be nice. We didn't, unfortunately, we ran out of time to be able to make those, but those would be really nice to have in the future.
Right, I think everybody's mostly got their stuff, so let's just have them start setting up.
Yep, so the government player, you have 150 coin to spend, and you can sort of dictate what the military player starts out with. So, let's see.
Alright, Chief General, what do you want?
That's your decision. You're the boss.
Yeah, but you're a council. Okay, I'll buy
Okay,
you.
so 150, you could have a lot, you could do a lot with that.
And for those types of ABCs,
All right, where's our
The armored
Over
personnel.
there.
We need some of that.
How many
Oh,
artillery
full
pieces
tanks
are
are
there?
I think
If you're going to tanks in with that, you're gonna get
Okay, there's 4
7
there.
tank rounds.
Yes.
That's
There's
50
no
gold
one.
right there.
So
Okay.
these are different from these guys. I see that they, yeah.
Those are his.
Oh,
Yours.
it's the tractors.
Good eye.
You get 5 tractors.
There's another
If they've
tank.
got the night vision goggles on the Coyote team, if they've got the night vision
They're
goggles and they've got the
military.
armbands, they are special forces. They belong to the government.
There's another artillery piece.
These are also yours.
Cool.
One artillery.
Keep taking
with 5
these
shells.
guys, Lucas.
I don't know. So,
That brings us
For the sake of time.
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna try to
that brings us to 90
get this
goals. I just
going
60
quickly.
left.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get this going. Okay. Obviously, this is meant to be played in a little bit of a longer iteration. It's not meant to be like
What do you feel?
your quick, play it in an hour and finish. This is more like playing a longer version of Catan essentially. It's meant to simulate, the complexities of a large scale and long time span that a war usually undergoes.
Okay.
And,
Alright, we'll let you
let's get
another
in place.
artillery with 5 shells.
okay.
Where you placing
40
them?
left.
Let's see.
That.
We'll say,
10 regular infantry.
we'll
See where this goes.
put
Leave us with 20.
one artillery, okay. That's
Get the
6.
border here.
Yeah, the border's in the middle, so that's the deer side, this is the coyote side. So we'll put one there,
20 gold.
one there, because those are completely overpowered.
Sure.
One there,
Thanks for
one there.
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah, I can't put this in there.
I got
Can't
you
the
5.
tanks of the force.
Right. So, yeah, because I can't put the tanks in the forest, it makes it a little bit more complicated, and then one there. So, that's a lot, obviously, it's supposed to be a lot harder to get the the heavy equipment, because they're so overpowered. So, that right there represents, let's see, 36, 54, 64, 74, that's 74 coins, so that's about half of,
How many civilians do I get to place again?
30,
3?
30.
30. Jeez.
Yeah. So yeah, setup takes a little while, because, because obviously we want to have a lot of things player driven, so that they can make their own decisions, and really influence what the actual war looks like, which we felt was appropriate. And then, so yeah.
The point is to make it offer a diverse selection of scenarios that you can play out with this, which
So-
results in there being a lot of moving parts. You guys started placing things?
We have our units, but we're not sure about like the rules for placing.
You can, initial placement, you can place somewhere you want on your side, as long as it follows the rules. So like, you can't place tanks in a forest, and
Okay.
that's pretty,
So I can place everything that I have?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And are tractors different than farmers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are what you're using to harvest.
Yeah, so the tractors go on the brown squares, and if you move your tractor through a brown square, you get 1 corn, and then you,
Which ones are the tractors?
They're in here.
yeah,
No, they're that's why we picked 5 tractors.
That would do it.
How many do you guys need?
We got 5.
1.
And then how many civilians do I have to place?
5. 30, but you don't have to place all of them.
What are these
Yeah.
black lines?
Yeah, definitely, this would be a game that I think would translate a lot better, like Battle for Moscow did, onto a digitized version. It would definitely, you'd definitely be able to get through the setup a lot easier. I think it'd make the setup go a lot faster, which we're obviously running into as an issue here.
Big games take a lot of setup time
Yep.
and a lot of finding pieces.
Oh, yeah.
As this is a prototype, in a future version, we're hoping to make it easier by not having them be made out of paper. But we worked with what we had, fairly short notice. Well, I guess it wasn't short notice, but
Took a lot of time to do.
it took a lot of time to get everything.
Yeah, we took a lot of time to refine the rules because you guys had a lot of really good points in our sort of presentations that we made along the way that we had to take into consideration.
You can place 5 military units, I believe.
No,
He already placed them.
I already placed them. You can place the rest.
Oh,
So I just placed
Sorry,
them
that's-
wherever that I'm allowed to place
Yeah.
them.
yeah. Infantry or support
Yes.
as well, because you get a lot more.
Is there a limit, or do I just literally put everything?
I
Because I'm
think
wondering-
you have.
So those are the fields.
That's it.
The fields, the fields.
You can put a couple in the church.
Okay.
Maybe we should just start.
No, they
Yeah,
can't
we
turn
can
infantry.
start with like what we have right now because we're just trying to show you sort of
How many hunters do I
the
get?
basics of the game. You don't have it. You don't have any to start.
About to be murdered by deer.
Yes, probably.
No, you have tanks, so you're probably okay. And you also have
I
artillery.
don't know what's like important for this.
Also, if you guys would like to take out tanks, then there are anti-tank weapons that you can buy. Should be in your rules.
But yeah, you. So infantry type troops have the ability to take out tanks, APCs, and artillery pieces. But the only way to do that is by anti-tank rounds. And let's just say if you better hope you only get one, a maximum of one per infantry unit. So don't miss, or you're probably going to lose that unit. Yeah, thankfully this is not a 3 or 4 hour setup, but it does take a little bit to get the game rolling.
All right, yeah, let's just get going. So you guys can move first. Whoever's doing a thing, do a thing.
So yeah, the military.
All right, Mr. President, where am I going?
How much movement you got?
It depends on what you want to move.
What units are those at the front?
At the front, those are the infantry units. So
Okay.
six minutes.
Great. That artillery over there looks like something. Want to go next friend?
Let me go beat its ass real quick.
So you're supposed to support artillery with infantry.
Yeah.
What's the rule for moving diagonally? Is that just
It's the exact same.
Yeah, you can move diagonally, horizontally, vertically. Yeah, that's the nice thing about having squares.
There is perhaps a lesson, that just because you know the doctrine doesn't mean all the players do what you follow.
Yeah,
That's true.
boss?
Yeah.
You got the artillery's locked down.
All right. Great. Can we attack this turn? Or can we?
Yeah. I think I have movement now that I'm just a civilian in the area. Do you remember off the top of the head, top of your head, how many I can move?
Civilian, I think civilian gets, what, 6?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to leave this sector then. Actually, no, I'm gonna stay in the sector, just because I only move 3 here, just to demonstrate that I can move. But you know what? I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to do the right thing and not kill me.
Great.
I love war crimes.
War crimes.
Okay, so are we able to attack these artillery?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How's that combat resolved?
I don't know how that works.
You roll the dice.
The dice.
How many do you need again?
Just one.
Just one. Just one. Need more.
If we're gonna get to resolve the combat, then we'll have to.
So.
Yeah, so basically we also wanted to show that warfare has a pretty high casualty rate. So if you roll, what was it? I think anything but a 1 on that die, it's a hit, and otherwise it is a miss. So if you want to roll the d6.
Lucas, is this the outdated rule book?
Yeah. 5.
Okay, yeah, it's a hit.
Yeah, so the artillery piece goes away.
That's because this is the wrong rule book.
So the other thing we wanted to do is not make it be complete steamroll, so it's also back and forth combat. So now we would be able to go and make a counterattack, maybe with one of these tanks on the front or with the artillery piece into the other sector.
Yeah, so if you want to use that artillery piece there and shell this sector, you can do that.
Are there any civilians there?
There,
Because I want to target them specifically.
there are 2 civilians in that sector.
Okay, let's commit some war crimes, guys.
So, yeah, go
So I
ahead.
just roll?
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. No,
Yeah, the artillery should.
you don't just roll though.
Yeah, you roll, but if there's a miss, it gets complicated, right?
Yeah, you have to pick an area though, to be.
Oh yeah, you have to like pick a square. So like, which square do you want to hit?
So, I guess that's where the civilian is.
Okay.
All
Have
right,
some casualties.
So go ahead and roll.
make yourself a roll then.
Oh no.
So,
Yeah, artillery pieces have a higher chance of missing because of wind drift. So now you have to.
No, you missed.
yeah, so you didn't necessarily lose that tractor.
Not yet, anyway.
Oh, I was just starting.
Oh,
So yeah, roll that d6 again.
Two.
So it'll miss by 2 spaces, and then I guess go ahead and roll again. So
One.
it'll miss. So 1 was here, so it actually lands here instead because it's a miss and does nothing.
For the sake of
So-
time, we need to.
Okay, so that's just a bit of the playthrough. Obviously, it still needs a fair bit of work, but it's definitely a work in progress right now.